In this video, we'll guide you through the Stellar Sandbox features and how you can explore them in 5 ways. Issuing a stablecoin, how to interact with yield-bearing assets and create them, interacting with a hedge fund vault, and also to authorize an account after KYC. Hi, this is Fifo from Cheesecake Labs. Here, I'll use the Stellar Asset Sandbox to demonstrate how you can issue your own stablecoin. Alright, so here I'm accessing the sandbox with my own user, and I'll go ahead and navigate to the left side menu and click on Asset Management. This is the area where you can manage assets. You can issue your own assets or see the full list of assets that have been issued in the sandbox. I'll go ahead and click on Forge Asset to create a new asset from scratch. So my stablecoin is going to be the Swiss franc. So I'll go ahead and write a name, Swiss franc. Awesome. So my stablecoin also needs a code, so I'll use CHF, which is the standard code for the Swiss franc. And here I can input an initial supply. So here is where you plug in your strategy for how you're backing up these funds. So let's say I have 1 million Swiss francs standing in a bank account, and these are going to back up the funds of my stablecoin. So in this example, I'll be manually managing the supply, but you could automatically plug it into any system or automation you'd have. So I'll go ahead and select 1 million, and this is the amount of units that are going to be minted right away straight into the asset management main vault. So here I'll select a logo, an image to exemplify my asset, and I can select the asset type as well. In this case, it's a payment token. Down below we have the control mechanisms, that's how you can fine-tune the profile for your asset. So for the first one, I'll select authorization required. In this one, we are making sure that every account that interacts with my stablecoin, they need to be authorized by the asset management first. So in this case, I'll be able to enforce a KYC workflow, making sure that all users have to go through KYC, and once they all have been verified, I'll authorize the accounts and they'll be able to hold balances and transact with my asset. For the second one, I'll also enable the freeze. Freeze is a feature that allows me to apply regulatory measures. So if I need to investigate an account which has been behaving suspiciously, I can freeze the funds in place until the investigation is going on. And once everything has been cleared, I can unfreeze the funds and let them move the funds again. And the last one I'll also enable, which is the clawback. And the clawback allows me as an asset manager to retrieve funds from an account that have been compromised or lost. And this allows me to plug in my own workflow to how I can just remove those for circulation or simply return to the rightful owner. So I have everything selected. I'll go ahead and click on Forge Asset. Now my asset's being created, the transaction is being sent to the Stellar network, and once everything is processed, I'll be taken to the cockpit to manage my asset. So there it is, my asset was created. I can see the main account behind it. I can click on this link to see in the Stellar Explorer the information about my asset in the Stellar network. And if I go back, I can now start managing the supply of my asset. So whenever I need to increase the supply or decrease the supply, I can do that by going to the mint or the burn sections in my asset management area. So let's say, for example, that now I have moved some of the funds around, some of the backing funds, and I want to reduce the supply in 20,000. So I'll just go ahead and put 20,000, and these units will be burned and removed from circulation directly from this main vault account. The main vault is the account that is automatically created to manage the asset supply. So it's still not in full circulation. It hadn't been distributed to other accounts. It's just sitting with the asset manager. There we go. It had been burned. I can see the supply was updated. If I go back to the home, I can see also the total supply in here. So 980,000 units. So that's it. I have my stablecoin and I can manage it. Here I'm in the sandbox already, and I'm going to navigate to the left side menu to access the treasury area. This is where treasurers can create and manage existing vaults with the assets that were issued through the sandbox. So I'll go ahead and create a new vault, and this vault is going to represent a hedge fund in Zurich in Switzerland. So I'll go ahead and name it Zurich Fund. I'm going to select a category, and this can be any of the existing ones, or I can create a new category. So I'll select this hedge fund, and then the assets that it will work with. So let me go ahead and select the Swiss franc, and also let me go ahead and select USD coin. Right? I'll create this vault, and one thing you'll notice right away after this vault is created is that the Swiss franc will have a small padlock in it. Just like user accounts that need to go through a KYC, for vaults, we also need to authorize the vaults to operate with the asset when it is controlled. So in this scenario, we need to go to the asset management area and make sure that this vault is authorized to start transacting with this asset. So from the asset manager perspective, I'll access the asset management area and I'll select my asset here and I'll go to authorize account. Here in the list, I will see that my vault's there, but it's pending authorization. So I'll select it and I'll authorize the vault. Once it's authorized, it will be able to start transacting with the asset. So the next step will be to distribute some funds from the asset management vault into the new Zurich fund. So it is already authorized. I'll go to distribute and here I'll select the destination as my new fund that I just created. And I'll send some amounts of tokens, 500,000 units. And you can see my main vault has almost 1 million. So I'll go ahead and distribute. And as soon as it's processed, we should see the value being updated. There you go. So now if I go back to Treasury, I should see my fund has received the balance. There you go, it's already in there. I can see the history down below. And now I can click on it and start transacting with this asset. There we go, as simple as that. Here in the sandbox, you can choose any asset you have issued through the sandbox to leverage its capabilities and allow for it to be a yield-bearing instrument. It will behave pretty much like a certificate of deposit, and this is done with smart contracts. You're going to select a vault, so let me navigate to the treasury here. And here in our use case, we are going to use the Zurich Fund Vault. The idea is that we will allow users to perform a deposit using the Swiss franc asset, and this deposit will go straight into this vault. While in there for a determined term, these will be accumulating yield, and once the user decides to withdraw, they're going to receive both the original deposit plus all the yield it has accumulated automatically from this vault account. So let us go ahead and create this instrument. I'll navigate to yield-bearing asset here on the left. Here I can see the existing assets that are already allowing for deposits to happen. We also have one for the Swiss franc, but I'll create a separate one with different rules. So I'll go ahead and click on new yield-bearing asset. And here I can input the information. So I'll select the vault, there it is, and the asset, Swiss franc. Now I can define what are the parameters for my instrument to operate. So the minimum deposit will be 500 Swiss francs and the term will be 10 days. So for 10 days, it will be accumulating yield from the time of the deposit until it ends. The yield rate will set up as 1%. So if we keep it as simple interest, this means that at the end of the 10 days, it will have accumulated 1% of its original deposit as yield. I can go ahead and select compound interest, and this will determine what is the interval at which it will compound. So if I go with compound interest, I can say that every 24 hours, it is going to accumulate 1% for the 10 days term. So I'll keep it like that, and I'll also set the early redemption penalty rate. This penalty rate is applied whenever I am withdrawing earlier, before the end term. So if I decide to withdraw before the 10 days, I'm going to receive just a portion of the yield instead of the whole yield I have accumulated. So if I set it as 50%, this means I will only get the other 50% of the yield that I have accumulated. So I'll go ahead and click on create. There you go. It has just been created. And if I go back to the yield bearing asset area, I can see it's here in the list, 1% yield, 10-day term, compounding every 24 hours with a minimum deposit of 500 Swiss francs. Now people can click on this option and start interacting with it by performing deposits and withdrawals and seeing their history down below. There you go, as simple as that. Alright, so here I'll start by exemplifying a user adding the asset to their account. I'll go on the top right and I'll click on my wallet. Here you can see I have EURC, but I don't have yet the Swiss franc. So I'll go ahead and edit my assets and include the Swiss franc. So let me locate it right here, click on save, and there you go. Now as a user, I'm signaling that I want to interact with this asset. This could go in different ways depending on how your asset is provided to the general public. So it could be through a mobile phone, a mobile app, or a web browser wallet, different means to access the asset. Here you can see the asset has a padlock. So once I click on it, you can see that this account has not been authorized, so I need to contact the asset manager. So in different workflows, the user could be registering to a mobile wallet, and after they registered, they needed to go through KYC before they are authorized. So let's say me as a user, I went through KYC, I provided the verification to my identity, and I am ready to be authorized. So now I'm going to access as the asset manager and authorize this account. So I'll go ahead and click on asset management, and I'll locate my asset here in the list. There you go, this is the Swiss franc. And here I can navigate to authorize account. This section will show me what is the status of the accounts that have included my asset. And I can see here that I have one account that is pending authorization. This account is assigned to my asset, but they're still not authorized, so they cannot hold balance, they cannot transact with the asset. So I'll go ahead and select this account from the list, and I'll click on authorize. So as this transaction is processed by the network, once it's done, there it is, the account is fully authorized. Now, if I go back and navigate to my wallet, I can see that the asset is already without the padlock, and I can start transacting with it. So now all I need is to receive some funds and start transacting with other users. There you go, simple as that. Alright, so here I'm accessing from the perspective of a user that wants to invest in a yield-bearing asset. So here I can see on top that my wallet already has some balance in Swiss francs. So I'll go ahead and navigate to the left side menu to yield-bearing asset. Here's the list of all assets we have in the sandbox so far that I can invest in. And here I can see I have two options for this Swiss franc. So I'll go with the first one, which yields 1% during the term of 10 days, and it compounds every 24 hours. I'll click on it, and once it loads, I will be able to see the full detailed information about how it operates. There it is. I can see what are the rules of this asset, as well as my history. I had a deposit in the past that I did, and here I can see my current balance in my wallet. So I'll go ahead and perform a deposit of 1,000 Swiss francs. Go ahead and click on deposit. There you go, my deposit has just been confirmed. I can see it in the history that I have an open one, and here you can see my original deposit as well as how much it has accumulated in yield and the next time it's going to compound. So if I want to withdraw with the penalties, I can go ahead and click on the checkbox to acknowledge that I want to anticipate my withdrawal and receive with the penalties applied. I'm not gonna do that. I'll move to a different asset which I have invested already so we can see how things are turning out. So I'll go here and navigate, select the other fund. Alright, so here I can see the real-time information about my current balance. I had deposited 1,000 here, but I have accumulated some fractions of Swiss franc and it's updating in real time. This has a 30 days term, so it's going to take a long time to generate this 2% yield. So it goes linearly until the end of the term because this is not like a compound interest. So if I want to withdraw right now with what I have accumulated so far, I'm going to check this box to acknowledge I want to anticipate. So I'll have the penalties applied, which in this case is 20%. So I'll receive 20% less of the yield and I'll get the value that is estimated down here. So I'll go ahead and click on withdraw with penalty. There you go, it has been confirmed. So it's updating my position. There it is in the history. I can see how much I originally deposited and how much I have withdrawn from this investment. So I have my updated balance and I can again go back to interact with other assets. That's it, simple as that.